Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our last day of Nurses Recruitment Week. We're very excited today. We have Ventura County Medical Center. Um, Sharon will be sharing about all the career and job opportunities available with them, as well as their new nurse grad program. Take it away, Sharon.
All right. Thanks, Juan, very much, and welcome. So my name is Sharon Wechter. I am the nursing director of the Nursing Education Professional Development Program, our department here at Ventura County Medical Center. I love where I live. I live where I work. And so thank you so much for your time today. Ventura, right? We're just up the road a little bit, up 101 or Route 1 if you want to have some scenery. And we just love being here. We are a community level hospital, and we have we're a level 2 trauma center, and we're stroke certified. And so I'll share a little bit about that, and then also our RN residency. So let me share my screen. It. So this presentation was from an information session that we held in April. All right, so please let me know if you have any questions. You're welcome to raise your hand at any time. Juan will probably help me find those people and then answer those. So our registered nurse residency, we've been our inception was 3 years ago. We have a highly successful program. We're trying to get PTAP accredited, which is Practice Transition Accreditation Program. If you're familiar with that, a lot of the programs like UCLA has it. So we're a small hospital. We're really excited to be, we submitted our application. We should be hearing soon. And then the other cool thing is we did apply for accreditation, or distinction, because of our social determinants of health and the population that we serve. So we are a county hospital and really do serve the underserved and underinsured. We're called a safety net hospital. So really special population. Our population is very thankful and grateful for the care that they receive here. And then also as patients come here, whether it's trauma or to deliver their babies, we have a very what I say again, progressive program of trial of labor after cesarean. So it's great because we do have some technologies that are really striving to move us forward. We're also the only pediatric unit within the county of Ventura. So we have the only peds unit and pediatric ICU unit. So we're really excited to offer. And then I came here from tertiary care in the Bay Area. So the pediatric ICU is totally my jam, and really I love being able to toot the horn of how much pediatrics our pediatric unit is loved within the county and the support that we have from our community. So today, I just wanted to go over a little bit about the program, our RN residency program, eligibility requirements application. You can read it here. Some interview tips, timeline and onboarding, and we do not have a nurse panel Q&A. But I do want to let you know our application period for July has shut. That started back in May, and we're actually interviewing in the next couple weeks. But we will have another opportunity to apply in October. We accept 2 cohorts a year, so July and January. And so our process starts. For January, we'll start in the fall and it'll start in October. So our residency program is a 12-month program. We meet pretty much every other week, every 2 to 3 weeks for the first 4 months. We do everything from, skills boot camp days to didactic sessions, more about the renal system or potentially system. And then we also do a lot of simulation to really cement some of the didactic learning in place. So like renal day, we'll actually, insert Foley's, but we'll also talk about different type of end-stage kidney disease and what you're going to see about that. And then we work on case studies and simulation regarding that. So we just had renal day, I think, a couple weeks ago. That's why it's fresh in my brain. So we have monthly didactics. Our collaboration is with HealthStream. That is our online module system. we realize online modules, right? Oh, it used to be death by PowerPoint. Now it's online module. Like, oh my gosh. So we really do try to adjunct that. We appreciate HealthStream very much. It has AI tools and it's able to really evaluate a learner kind of where they're at in their understanding using AI technology, and then being able to assign and look at modules that'll meet those needs, right? Because let's just say you have previous CNA experience. So maybe you're good at assessing, and so, but it's the deeper knowledge that you'll need. So understanding heart sounds and things like that. We're so that is our collaboration. And then we have preceptors that will, of course, be with you. It depends on what unit you're at. So departments such as ICU, that's preceptorship maybe 4 to 6 months. ED is definitely 6 months. And then our inpatient psychiatric unit may be less than that, maybe 2 to 3 months. So we do hire into all different disciplines here, into all the different departments, and it is on need. So currently, like this cohort, we have nobody going to maternal child health. So our OB, L&D, postpartum, peds, PICU, and NICU. But that may change in January, again, depending on need. So anyway, it's super exciting. We have what they call a sweet start. To once you're onboarded, we introduce everybody to each other. We bring them in for a cute ice cream social. We have a blast meeting everybody. They get to meet their managers and really start the support of each other. We have a formal mentoring program, group mentoring actually model that we use. And then again, our preceptors are supported. Our preceptors are going to class as well as then unit evaluations, really working alongside our managers to provide really the best onboarding that you can. And then enculturation, right? Because we're part of a healthcare system, but we also really want to love the job that we do and going to work, right? And so being able to provide that support for each one. And I will say everybody's educational plan is, in the K through 12 world, it's called IEP, Individual Education Programs, right? We do that for everybody because we want to meet your needs where you're at, what you need to grow in, and then support you. And again, that's all with communication, right? Communication with your preceptor, communication with your manager, and then even communication with us, because we, as your RN residency coordinators and program development, we want to know what's going on and how we best can support you. And we do that through a lot of feedback too. Salary, there is an automatic promotion, or you start as an RN1, right? So you pass your NCLEX. We do take people that haven't taken NCLEX. We realize that July cohort, that's a tough one because your graduation is in May and then all of a sudden it's July, and especially December. Graduation is December and then you're starting in January. So we can absolutely take people, we call them nurse externs. They come in and then you're supported in that role as an extern, pretty much shadowing an RN that will eventually be your preceptor or is your preceptor. And then once you pass your NCLEX, boom, RN1. And then the RN2 is your completion of basically 6 months of work. And that is an automatic completion. There are night and weekend shift differentials that we offer here at Ventura County. And then also they have something called certification pay. And those are, it's unique. I've never worked anywhere with this because you'll see the pay scale for a new grad nurse. And then there's this thing called certification pay. And for things like ACLS, NRP, again, I'm in the PEDS world, so neonatal resuscitation, PALS, let's see, your NIH stroke scale, things that are required for your job actually lead to 81 cents per hour per cert. And then you get 5 of those. So that's great. And then we highly encourage everybody, once you complete your 2,000 hours, you can take your national certification. So again, My World Pediatric ICU, it's the CCRN. That's actually a $2 per hour certification pay. So that really helps bump up the hourly wage, and it's great for that support. The other thing that the county offers, kind of moving on to that next thing, is, of course, we still have a pension here. Yay, yay, Ventura County. So that's cool. So years of work, once you have some tenure, so 5 years, you're looking at a pension for retirement, which is pretty amazing. And then things for specifically for nursing that comes in our contracts are textbook and tuition. Once you've been here 6 months and made through that first initial 6-month period, there's textbook and tuition reimbursement. We have nurses that go in between here, so Ventura County Medical Center, and then we have a rural hospital 14 miles east of us called Santa Paula. And so we'll do mileage reimbursement, like if you're helping to float. And then there's like prime float pay also for going to Santa Paula or Santa Paula nurses coming to us. And then, of course, there is also like float incentives, charge nurse incentives, and of course, the weekend and night shift differentials. And then holiday pay, right? This is a holiday weekend, so holiday pay on Monday. All right, let's see. So eligibility requirements. So there you go. So again, graduating from an accredited nursing program. Again, your nursing license within a time frame, usually around 6 months. But again, we can talk about that. We had a nurse come in from a different state, and she really couldn't get the NCLEX scheduled with a BRN here in California. So we just worked with her to give her some responsibilities that would be without a license until she was able to get that NCLEX date. Your BLS certification, that's all in your application. And then our requirement is less than 6 months of RN acute care experience. So we've had plenty of RNs, right? You need your RN salary. You just graduated from college and there's stuff that you got to pay. So we've had RNs that go work for the jails. We've had RNs that go work for ambulatory care and do other things kind of waiting for application time. So we realize that. So again, less than 6 months. And as I said, those are kind of our people. We've had nurses that work for dialysis companies come in and be part of our RN residency program too. Okay, and then this is our application. This is what we currently have done. So this was for our July cohort. Let me move this down here, right? Okay. So we asked for a resume, a cover letter. You can see what we did skip is no letters of reference. That's gone. We found that a lot of those were AI generated and they sounded a lot alike. So we're like, so again, I highly your resume, kind of touch points that really will stand out for you. And then try to not use AI because you can, after you read several of these, you really see the generation of maybe how a computer is helping you. And then we did a one-way recorded preliminary interview this time. It was a 3.5-minute video. Asked about your name, what your top 3 choices for departments are, and then why you think you're a good fit. So that was great. We actually just finished that preliminary stage of reviewing those. And it was really fun to see everybody's background, to hear about why they feel like they should be selected for our residency program. And it was exciting. You have to understand, as a nurse, I am celebrating 39 years. Right? I graduated in May of 1987. Yeah, thank you. So, it's just, I just am so heartwarmed when I hear these interviews because of the excitement of the field of nursing. It's just so heartwarming to hear that. And just to know that our group, because again, we act as a group, is, we're part of that experience. And again, we wish you the best success and we're here to support you the entire time. I'm going to move this little bar because this is the website where when the application goes live, that's where it is. So usually I just type in Ventura County jobs in the Google search and that will come up with that website. But that's actually where the application will live when it goes live. Our next application period will be in October, as I said. All right. So these are resume tips. We have a nurse here who that is one of her strengths. We all come with different skill sets, and her skill set is actually resume writing and interviewing. It's kind of cool. So these are some resume tips. Organize what clinical rotations you did, You don't have to list everyone, but the ones that stand out. Let's say you do want to be a pediatric nurse. Tell us about how many hours you spent on that pediatric and where you did that pediatric rotation, and maybe some of the highlights, some of the skills that you were able to learn during that one. Wow, I got to see a kid in DKA, and I was able to see, the ICU and the double bag system, or, just something that, is tangible. Definitely, submit your education, your work experience, the transferable skills. I will say this doesn't apply to me. I was not a waitress. I was a camp counselor. So those were my transferable skills to pediatrics. But, what kind of skills do you have that, would add is an adjunct to you as a nurse? We do have a lot of people that are in the service industry, right? They can multitask, and it's really cool to see, again, that transfer of knowledge and the transfer of skills. And then, of course, grammar. All right. Again, this is just for resumes, things to avoid. The referral information is actually on your application. They'll ask specifically on your from the government application about references. All right. And then here, these are, cover letter, concise, tailor it to your position. I will be very honest with you. We get cover letters that say, "Thank you so much for your consideration in my application to Rady Children's Hospital in San Diego." Right? So somebody didn't take the little extra minute to change it to Ventura County Medical Center in Ventura, California. So please, and we're not in that selection. Our HR department is, and they will not send it through. So please, watch what is in those letters and make sure it's appropriate to our facility. Creative, include your unique background. Again, that's that, role, how your roles of what your experiences that you bring that you can apply to your role as a nurse. And then, of course, review and edit it. Oh, we still have some more interview tips. All right. So prepare, practice with others, remain calm, and be yourself. Those are great. I did not realize that 3-minute video that we sent out, or HR sent out for us, it was a one-time recording. So you could tell who practiced and who hit that button, and they probably didn't realize they were going to get one chance. So it was really great, again, to see the rehearse. And I didn't care if people were reading their script. That was fine. But you could see who was calm. They had taken their deep breaths before they started. And again, having interviewed, these are great tips, but do what you need to do, whether it's walking a half mile before you have the interview or whatever it is. But do what works for you to remain calm and bring your best self forward. So these are the timelines. I just wanted to share this with you because you can kind of see, and I'll tell you kind of what the January timeline is. So our application period is in October. The interviews will be in November. The offers go out by the end of November. I think they went out like right at Thanksgiving week. So November, late November. And then the start date will be January, mid-January. Okay. So that is our timeline. And then the job offers go out from HR 72 hours to accept or decline. And this is after so the process currently is the video interviews, and those are reviewed. And they are, just so you know, they are reviewed by all RNs, both on the RN residency team as well as managers, the hiring managers. So they will review the 3.5-minute video and also an application review and cover letter. And then from that large pool, a smaller pool will then be invited for the interview process. All right, and then immediately begin the onboarding process. We are a government entity, so our onboarding takes a little bit of time. So just be aware that's Ventura County. So things take a little bit longer. You're not going to get hired same day, kind of thing. So we just want people to know that there will be interviews happen. I'll just say interviews happen in June, and then offers will get out set mid-June, and then hiring is actually July 14th for this current cohort. Okay. All right. So pre-employment health physicals, this is just again, with hiring, uh, be flexible. If you're invited back for an interview, um, it's that flexibility of being able to come in. You actually do have to come in person to have the pre-employment health clearance. And this is all in that the same day as like signing paperwork. So just know that there's usually about a 2 to 3 week time frame. And so that's really why the slide was made, is just to make sure that people, in case they were given an offer, were available for quickly for a pre-employment physical. All right. Well, that is kind of the gist of my presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Sharon.
Oh, you're
We're gonna
welcome.
open it up for Q&A. I see a hand raised. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much, Sharon, for coming in to talk to us about the Ventura County Hospital application requirements and things like that. I have a question about the resume. In our classes, our professors have encouraged us not to list what we do in our rotations just because hospitals are generally aware of what student nurses can do and have done in their clinical rotations. But you mentioned that if there is a unit or rotation of interest, that we should list what we did specifically for that unit.
Yeah, I think for me, I like to see, again, I'm coming from pediatric world, so right, so pretty specialized. I would love to see, any kind of pediatric ICU or pediatric experience that you've been oriented to or observed, um, because the spark, then that kind of, I'm able to then say, hey, how was that rotation? What did you learn? I'm able to specifically ask you something versus kind of more open-ended of, oh, did you have pediatric experience? Or sometimes I'll ask, what led you for this kind of pediatric? So I definitely hear both ways. I've seen the resumes where it's clinical hours for everything, like med surg, ICU. I definitely I would steer away from that. But if there's something specific that you feel like would help, again, put that foot in the door. That's why I'm open to it. I definitely say I'm open to it, and so is our team. Especially for the specialty because we do hire, into ED. Like I want to see if somebody, like if they're a EMT, right, before coming in as an EDRN, or what else am I thinking ED wise? Well, again, did they get to have the opportunity? And we also realize, right, because we play students, we realize that not every student gets their ideal preceptorship. So it's not a make or break. It's just something to kind of open the door for discussion.
Go ahead, Cassidy.
Hi, thank you. I just had two questions about the application process. I was wondering if we applied this past April, when we could expect to hear back.
Oops, let me get out of my screen here. Um, if you applied in April and you didn't hear back, it might not have gone through the next step, which is to create the video recording.
I did do the video recording, so
Ah,
could I expect to hear something by now?
yes. Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in, Cassidy.
Yeah.
Yes, interviews. The final list of the interview candidates was sent a few days ago. So I
Okay.
believe that their letters from HR will be sending out soon.
Okay, thank
I
you.
would say within a few days, Cassidy. Again, be patient with us.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah. So,
And
and great.
oh,
Well, thank
sorry.
you for tuning in.
I just had one other question, if that's okay.
Mhm.
I was wondering, like, if selected for an interview, if you had any like tips on like things to practice or prepare for the interview.
All right, good question, Cassidy. Definitely dress to impress, meaning professionally. Definitely. I was kind of teasing someone today that your resume is really nice. Yes, we have access to it with the application, but it is really nice to have the resume that you can hand out on that quality paper. And again, I realize we all have a budget, so it's okay. Um, but that was really nice because, again, it prompted conversation. Yes, we have a scoring rubric and an interview rubric, but we also like to spend another 10 minutes or so just talking about, your fit and what interests you in the county and things like that. So definitely, looking at the mission and vision of Ventura County. And then, of course, no maternal child health. I would say just doing your investigative work on the hospitals that you're applying to, and what makes them stand out, and really what led you to apply to here. So I think those are helpful hints. And then, just I'm sure you've been practicing with your schools. What do they have? They have the there's a clinical judgment type of question. There's also a question about emotional intelligence, things that are, I think those are the things you're practicing. And, be yourself. That's what we
Thank
want to see,
you.
just yourself hang
Okay.
in. All right. Well, thanks, Cassidy, and hopefully
Thank
I'll see
you.
you.
Bye. Thanks.
Any other questions? Don't be shy.
One more
Um,
question.
Go for it.
Mhm.
So you mentioned the peds ICU, the ED. Were there any other units that students can apply for? I didn't catch it in the slides if it was there.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't there, and I apologize. So yes, we do accept into the perioperative areas,
Mhm.
and then I'm kind of starting on the ground floor, and then emergency department, our ICUs, our step downs, telemetry, and then second floor is all maternal child health, and we have accepted into all of those. Sometimes you're, which is fine, the only one. Again, we're a smaller hospital. I have to say, even in a big hospital, I was the only one in pediatric ICU as a new grad. So, it is there. So on the maternal child health, it's so pediatric ICU, neonatal ICU, and then postpartum labor and delivery, as well as a peds unit. So, and again, I'm tooting our horn about peds, but it was really cool. We got a grant from the state for many millions, so we were able to actually revamp a total old adult floor, and it is beautiful. I mean, it has got these murals that are all like Ventura County highlights. So if anybody knows our Channel Islands, like it's Anacapa Island, they have some of our hot spots for surfing. So again, if you know Ventura County, right? So Mondo's and C Street, and then our pier, and it's just beautiful. And I feel bad when I take adult nurses down there because they're like, what? But it's great. So that is peds. And then we have the only medical withdrawal unit in the county, also of Ventura. So it is an 8-bed, can extend to be 16. So that's really cool. So we're actually, our department, we are helping to develop some of the educational materials for the entire house. So that our nurses can all be prepared about the withdrawal and the management of a withdrawal patient. So, because right, they start in ICU sometimes and then step down or go to step down and then go to the addiction unit or addiction withdrawal unit. So we're excited that we have a substance use disorder. And then we do, well, let me stay in the hospital. So that's that. And then above them, we have medical floors. So the medical floors will have ability for telemetry monitoring in the near future. That is like coming in the next couple months. And then we have an inpatient psychiatric unit. So we have a 42-bed separate facility. So we also hire into IPU. Great manager over there, super supportive of our new graduate nurses. And it's really great that we have that. We're very thankful. We collaborate a lot with our inpatient psychiatric nurses to come help us in the hospital with our patients, with our families, and what is the best way to intervene and provide the best care. So I'm really thankful for that collaborative. I've never had that. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And then part of inpatient psych is there's a crisis stabilization unit. So those are the under 24-hour stays, and they are also within that inpatient psych unit on property there. So, and then as I said, we have a very small rural hospital, 14 miles east of us, Santa Paula Hospital. They are medical surgical and ED. So we hire over there too. So much more level. I won't say the acuity is any lower because, right, so people are coming there really sick. So there's a lot of stabilization that goes on over there. And then they will transport over here if they're ICU level. Good question. Thank you, Shrusti.
I have a question. How big are your cohorts each year?
Oh, great question. So again, it's by need. So I will say this cohort is 10. We were in a hiring freeze, right, as a government facility. So we actually got 10 positions exempted from the freeze, which was I was really grateful for. So this cohort last July, 22. Okay, so that's the difference. And then in January, 16. So usually 16 to 22, 25-ish. And then we try our best to break out. I mean, we do, because I do peds. We also have a pediatric nurse practitioner here in the office. So we really try to divide for specialties to meet those needs, right? So we'll meet as a didactic group, talk about renal failure, and then we'll divide out to see what we need and talk about blood pressures and how it differs in the different patient populations. And the really cool thing, again, I talked about our manager and inpatient psych, super supportive. She actually has the inpatient new grad residents learn as a med-surg nurse, because she really wants the IPU nurses, we call it inpatient psychiatric unit, to be able to assess and understand, potential when there's declining or deterioration, clinical deterioration, that they can identify and then be able to notify the right people. So whether it's rapid response or just, hey, can I come get an evaluation here in case we need to move to the hospital? So.
Great. And then what is some of the advice that you can give our students, those who will be soon grads, to stand out in the application process? I think you already touched a little bit on this, but if you can elaborate more.
Yeah. So the application process, I will say the resumes are definitely stand out, because applications, right, they're all the same. I mean, where'd you go to school and all that stuff. So, and then we do examine, there's what they call supplemental questions at the end of the application. And it is why you're interested in the department you're looking for. And I think it's 250 words or less. We do read those because we want to see, why you're interested. And then your resume working with that, what skill set, again, that you have. And then it's with these small video interviews, being able to voice about again, why you're interested, why you're a good fit, really is kind of, something with the video. And again, with the practicing, you can see who wasn't able to practice and not. Again, Cassidy, you were given the one time. Was it pretty clear that you had one time to record?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was very clear. I was like, I'm nervous, but it was good.
Okay. Yeah. I've talked with a few nurses or, these new graduates, and they're like, we had timers set. And so, you're not alone. And again, we appreciated those that were able to take the deep breath to be able to talk, clearly. We realize, some English may be a second language. I mean, again, that is all taken into consideration. Like, we understand, and we also understand it's high stress. So, you are an individual, and we want to see you shine. So, again, I just, again, hope everybody is able to shine in that video. And then what was some of the standouts? So being able to identify, I really do, I kind of keep coming back to it, is kind of what in your skill set gives you an edge? What gives you that little extra that this would be a good fit. So, and again, I'm an ICU nurse, right? So what do? We pay attention to detail. So what of my previous job experience was I paying attention to detail, and how can it be applicable for my job? So, and there's a whole lot more than that, right? We need to be good communicators and, again, see the global picture, but we're here to work on the critical thinking. We're here to work on clinical judgment and realizing everybody's on a different timeline. So, but thank you, Juan.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions? Would you say that you get a lot of applicants from UCLA by any chance?
We do. We kind of make it a point to look through where our pool is coming from. I would say about 40% are within Ventura County, but the other 60, I mean, we're getting Baylor University, NYU, Texas Tech, Ohio State, University of Washington.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's really interesting to see a community level drawing. I consider all of you talented. You're getting through school. You have a talent, but the talent pool that we are able to attract. I mean, it's really actually humbling because we've gone from a program where we didn't know if we would have a residency of 15, right? We've gone from, oh my gosh, to now having over 400 applicants for 10 spots. So it's been incredible to watch and the growth of our program. I mean, we're definitely not a stagnant. We are always trying to improve and better meet the needs of our new graduate nurses.
Good.
Yeah.
Great. Do you have any tips for the interview?
Tips for interview? Well, be
Yeah,
prepared. As I said, kind of be
prepare.
prepared. Look at your common questions. There's always going to be one that, you're like, what? But that's okay. And just take the time you need to process that because not all of us can spontaneously. I will say, my husband's in marketing. He can talk about anything. I'm not, I have to think about it, process it, and then, and then provide my answer. So that's okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I will say I do love Ventura County. I went to Rio Mesa High.
Did you really
Yeah,
want?
I
Oh,
lived in
good for
Oxnard for a
you.
little bit. Yeah, I love Ventura County. My aunt lives there now.
You're what?
My aunt.
Your aunt, yeah. Well, go
Yeah.
Spartans. Yay.
Yes.
We I have 4 kids and my kids swam in your pool many a time over there in Rio Mesa. Yeah. You will find that about Ventura County. We are a smaller county. There's 1 million here, population wise. And so it really is quite a town feel. I moved here from the East Coast through San Francisco for a while, but yeah, it really does. It's a special feel. Downtown is closed off to traffic and it's fun. And I was out one night. We have an Irish pub downtown. And so I was listening to some Irish music. And lo and behold, I go to a different place, and there was a bunch of our ED trauma nurses, right? And
Ooh.
Cassie, you'll know it. They were at oh gosh, fluid state, right? So, it's really cool to see like, yay, yay, the collaboration, the camaraderie. And honestly, community level, there's something about family that really happens in a smaller setting. It really is, it's special.
Thank you for sharing all of that. Any other questions? Don't be shy.
Well, one, isn't this usually split between two? Like,
Yeah,
hospitals?
we've been doing 2 breakout rooms.
Ah,
So right now this is just open Q&A
got it.
for questions and comments. So it's like, but if there's no more questions or comments, we can go ahead and close out. This is your last chance.
Yeah, be eager, be excited, and then let us know what's special about you, and so you can stand out for sure.
Thank you, Sharon. We're gonna go ahead and close out. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, Sharon, for joining us and sharing all these great information. You'll find this video posted on our YouTube channel. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you
Perfect.
so much. Thank
Thank
you
You're
you
for
so
having me.
welcome.
much.
Bye. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to
Thank you
meet
for
you.
your time.
Bye.
Bye.